Welcome to Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. I'm Jim Williams, your host. And we are going to, over the coming weeks, months, and hopefully years, educate, enlighten, and entertain you as we do a deep dive every 2 weeks into the multi-billion-dollar world, one of the fastest growing areas of fashion. We're talking, of course, about lingerie. Now, through Lingerie Lowdown, the website, and our YouTube channel, you have seen women and men review thousands of different items from the world of lingerie and beyond. Well, the podcast, we're going to give you an opportunity to meet those presenters, get a better idea of who they are. Of course, they come from all corners of the globe, and they are a very diverse and inclusive group. They are models who represent all body types and give their honest opinions on every item that they review. And trust me, folks, there are thousands of items that they review. We're also going to give you an opportunity to meet some of the industry insiders who represent some of the top fashion houses in all of the fashion world. Plus, we're going to introduce you to some of the cutting edge designers and smaller brands that are making names for themselves out there, and names that you're going to want to know and certainly going to want to check out their websites. Well, that's where we are today. We are going to introduce you to someone you may not know, but someone who you're going to want to know. And that, of course, is Helya Mohammadian. Now, Helya is the CEO and founder of Slick Chicks. It is an outstanding site. It caters to people who have disabilities. But look, you don't have to have a disability to use Slick Chicks. Outstanding and very sexy lingerie. And I think that was the key. And Helya, welcome to the podcast. I know that you are someone who says, in almost a slogan way, that even if you have a disability doesn't mean you can't be sexy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you founded Slick Chicks?
Absolutely. So I'm the CEO and founder of Slick Chicks. Slick Chicks are patented underwear. They're basically designed for people who have disabilities or a limited mobility. They feature fasteners on either side of the waistband, so someone can basically change on their own, regain, their independence and their dignity. And really, regardless of their situation, whether they're sitting, they're standing, they're laying down, we offer something that kind of bridges that gap between fashion and function by offering something that is, accessible to most people. So basically, in a nutshell, we've taken that most intimate piece of getting dressed and we've made it accessible to all people. And it was definitely not an easy road to create the product or get here. I've been in fashion for over 15 years, working in design, in retail, manufacturing, sourcing, you name it. I've just kind of immersed myself in fashion, and nothing was really ever fulfilling to me when I was working in these big, design houses, and there was always something missing, and this kind of was a blessing in disguise the way that it did come about. Really, it was probably about my nephew's 5. It all started with my nephew about 5 years ago. My sister gave birth to him, and she had to undergo a routine cesarean section, nothing, out of the ordinary. But it ended up being a really bad post-operative recovery for her.
Right.
So something like, getting out of bed or using the restroom or showering, it was pretty painful for her. And I remember a conversation we had about her, just saying, something as simple as changing her underwear her husband had to help her with. And that kind of was like a moment in my brain, something like went off like, wait, what? You have to be able to do that on your own. There has to be like something out there. So I did a lot of research and just kind of like looked into what was out there. At that point, I had no idea what adaptive even meant. I didn't know what adaptable clothing was. I still had no clue. And so when I did look into, options, I realized that there wasn't really any adaptable underwear. It was just like diapers and incontinence and things that were made out of like polyester and cheap disposable fabric.
Right.
And like, how can anyone feel confident or dignified when they're basically wearing something that was designed decades ago?
Right.
So I kind of just was like, you know what? I'm going to take a pair of underwear and I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to make something out of it. And that's pretty much what I did. I just did what I knew to do as someone who has been working in design, and taking, an idea and a concept and making it an actual product. Like I had been doing that in school. It was just like something that was not foreign to me. So I created that for her specifically, sent it to her, and I was like, does this help you? Does this work? And she was surprised. I was surprised. And I thought maybe this could actually be something for people who've had post-operative surgeries. So just stick with me. That was my thought process then. I completely pivoted my business, my messaging and everything when I realized later on, fast forward, that there was an entire group of people that this product could impact their lives, that, a group of people that have been marginalized in society, I thought was kind of forgotten about, because I didn't even know what adaptive clothing was. And there was not that many options years ago out there. Everything seemed so medical. And it wasn't until I started making samples and giving them out to friends and family, and then eventually doing a Kickstarter, doing a crowdfunding to see if, people even needed this product, that I realized, wow, I'm getting an incredible response from people who are wheelchair users, people who have chronic illness, people that really have limited mobility. And I realized at that point, this isn't just, this product actually can impact the quality of life for someone in a positive way. So I just decided I was going to start this business very naively. Really had no business skills. I'm a creative person, and I just really went into it blindly, which was probably the best thing I could have ever done. And I discovered how huge this population of people who, have a disability is. I didn't realize how big it was. And I feel like right now we're only scratching the surface with, adaptive clothing. And we can go further into that, but that's a little bit of the background of like how it kind of started. It was meant to be one thing, and actually I pivoted and it became something else. And it's because I think that people were discovering my product and I didn't realize it, and I could not ignore that. And I wasn't going to. And so, I think that it was a huge challenge to kind of change messaging, but I was also very early on in my company. And we're very still young, and we're still like iterating and finding ways to be accessible to more people. I think it's just a constant change, and, I welcome the challenge. I think it's kind of what gets me up in the morning and keeps me going is, like, for example, in the very beginning, I just have to tell you this quick story. When I first launched, before I even realized that, something like this, like a basic necessity, could really change someone's life, I received an email from a woman after I did the Kickstarter, and she, we never met, didn't know me. She just emailed me and said, I love this product. Unfortunately, you don't make it in my size. Well, we were manufacturing limited sizes, being that it was a completely bootstrapped startup, and I told her I did not have her size, but as soon as I did, I'd be happy to send her some. And so her request made me realize, okay, well, more people need this. I am just going to make a couple of samples in the size that she needs. My sample maker is probably going to kill me, but I'm going to do it. And I did it, and I made a size for her, and I sent it to her, and I didn't hear back. And by the time, I think at that point, she I received an email from her daughter who said, unfortunately, her mom had succumbed to cancer. And so she never received the product. But she said her mom was so inspired by the product that she was working harder in like physical therapy to keep her mobility so she could be able to change her own undergarments at some point and just kind of regain that independence and that dignity. So, I mean, while it was heartbreaking for me because I felt like I really had a connection with this person that I've never even met.
Right.
But even though she never got that chance, the fact that a product was there that could empower her so much really just kind of erased any doubts I already had and just strengthened my mission to help others. And that's what I've been doing since then.
Well, it's I told you, on in our pre-interview that I myself, for the past nearly 40 years, have been working, out of a wheelchair, and it is an amazing situation how you learn to MacGyver your way through things, and that is because people do not understand that the community, and I hesitate to call it the disability community, because someone would used to, when you get that, there's a stigma of sorts that when you call it a disability community, people tend to want to, either pigeonhole you, pity you, whatever. I'm not saying that it's a negative connotation. It's just that it elicits a certain response that the community doesn't want. Okay.
Right.
I'm not seeking pity when I say that, or seeking special privileges when I say that. It's that I'm seeking the ability to do what Slick Chicks does, and that is find people of like mind and realize there's a consumer base out here for which you can make a great deal of money. It's just, simple things mean a lot. And what you've done in your work is magnificent because it makes sense. Okay. I have a pair of dress pants where the pockets for my dress pants are behind my calves on right and left side. Now, people would go, well, that's stupid. Well, no, I don't get up. So it's easier for me to put a wallet or something in a pocket that is literally standing right in front of me than it would be for me to reach into a pocket on my left or right hip, which you can't get into your pockets that easily whenever you're sitting down.
Yeah, and it's these modifications that are so important for brands to incorporate into their designs, just to make it easier for people of all abilities. And, you see trends like the magnetic closures for people who can't really button, or the adjustable hems, or the easy opening necklines. And it's just like simple, innovative modifications that make it easier for people. And that truly, there are styles that can fit their individual shapes, and they can be stylish, and it doesn't have to be something that's like medical or super overly functional. It can be, we can bridge that gap. And I think that there's an entire group of people that for a very long time was not fit into that equation, and we simply ignored. And it doesn't like everyone, there needs to be representation basically that doesn't ostracize people. And so I think for like me and my company, in general, feeling as you belong is a very human need, right? We all want to feel like we belong, but we also long for a sense of individuality. Like we embrace people's, individual selves. And I think it's important for brands to actually find that balance, and show that inclusion without necessarily excluding individuals. And I'm able-bodied myself, right? But I don't think it's right that because someone has a different ability that they don't care about fashion or how it makes them feel inside and out. And for me, it's like your underwear, undergarments, changing, the first thing you do in the morning, that sets the tone for your day. And if it's something that can actually make you feel good about yourself, it can make you feel confident. And that's basically all that we're doing, is saying, like, let's lift people up, let's boost them up, let's make them feel empowered and confident. Let's make them feel sexy. Let's make them, let's help them, feel like they can go out and tackle the world. And it's something I think that we all, and I did for a long time until I actually made myself aware of it. We took it for granted. People take changing for granted. It's not, everybody doesn't put their pants on one leg at a time. You know what I mean?
We'll be back with more Lingerie Lowdown after this.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Welcome back to Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. To your point, one of the things that is prevalent among the presenters from Lingerie Lowdown, who I spoke to all the time, many of the young women who are outstanding models, the first thing they'll say when I ask them about fashion tips, right? They say that what they want to do every morning is to wear undergarments that, as they said, give them superpowers. They want to feel that what they put on in the morning, all right, knowing that no one is going to see it, okay, doesn't matter, gives them a mindset that they can take on the world. Well, what you're doing with Slick Chicks is saying, you know what? Everybody deserves that opportunity to take on the world and feel good doing it.
100%. That is, I will always stand by that. I mean, regardless of who you are, what your situation is. I mean, if, I feel like it's just one of those things that, it's just, we have to be able to, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but it's like in society, like a lot of people have felt inclusion, whether they've excluded someone or they felt excluded. And a lot of times it's done unconsciously, right? But I think we just have to become more inclusive towards others and realize we have to knock down these barriers and set a new standard, basically. And that's what we're trying to do. We have to keep it going and open ourselves up to change without any judgment. And, I think for brands that are kind of leading the way, the risk and rewards are all part of it. But I think what we're doing hopefully kind of shows these bigger companies that hey, this is back to what you were saying. It's a huge market. This isn't a niche. This is a huge group of people, just people who want to feel good and look good too. They're just people, and I think for so long there's been such a huge void in the market. And in my opinion, if you're not a company that's moving forward in this world, that's changing, that's hopefully becoming more inclusive, I think we're scratching the surface. I think you can fall behind. And I think what we're doing basically is just listening to people, listening to what our customers want, how they feel really is important. Every email, every message, every testimonial, we take all of that into consideration about how someone truly feels. It's basically just going back to a human connection. And I think that a lot of times that gets lost when brands grow. But for us, we're very much like, it's not just an inclusive product, but, inclusion is, that is what our entire company culture mission is about, like employing people that aren't all able-bodied people, like we embrace that. And, we even started an ambassador program where we do celebrate people all over the world and people who are giving back to their communities or advocating for something. And we spotlight them. And if you go to our Instagram feed, you'll see not models, but you'll see, everyday people who, whether they have, whether they're in a wheelchair or they have a catheter and they're in a hospital, like they feel confident enough and sexy and powerful enough to share those images with us so that we can share it with the world and say, this is the new norm. Like, this is what we're embracing. This is what our company is about. And it's a platform to bring that awareness and to talk about these important topics. It's not just selling a product. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it's a business for us, but it's more than that too. It's sharing powerful voices and giving, people a voice to talk about things that are important to us as well. People that are like-minded and share in our mission. But at the end of the day, really, it's underwear that is accessible for a lot of people, and that makes, it doesn't sound like rocket science, but it's so impactful. It's helped a lot of people. And I think that's, for me, been the biggest reward in doing this, is just feeling like I can, maybe do something to me that I didn't think was going to be so impactful, and that can really just change someone's perspective or change their outlook, or just make them feel better about themselves, or, with sexy underwear that's also functional.
Well, I mean, look, Helya, I think that, what you're doing is important on many levels, not the least of which is the importance of making people have a positive mindset. We talked about that. Making people feel sexy. That's cool too, believe me. And the fact that you're fashion forward about it, you understand about it, and you work at it, is something that people who invest in businesses should be looking at what you're doing right now. Because you are creating something for, as we said before, it's not a niche market. I mean, this is a market. I jokingly say to my friends, who talk about disabilities, I say, well, those of you in the temporary able body community, because you never know, because I sure didn't, when something was going to happen that was going to, put you in a different place. And I think that this type of clothing and the adaptability of clothing you don't have to sacrifice your style. You don't have to sacrifice your fashion sense. You don't have to sacrifice anything. You've been in the fashion business for 15 years. You can make fashion forward clothing that does exactly what you're doing and become adaptable. I mean, for God's sake, for 10 years or more, people, it took about almost 50 years in fashion for fashion to realize that people didn't wear a size 0.
Right.
Okay. Now they're, they found, okay, great. We're into the plus size business, and we're into this business, and we're looking at this kind of thing. And, one of the things I applaud the folks at Lingerie Lowdown for is they are inclusive in getting all types of body type people from all over the world, people who have access to certain things, that others don't, people who don't have access to things that others don't. And I think they've done a very good job, in their presenters of giving you an honest opinion of whatever it is that you're putting out there. And now you are part of that chain of suppliers who give things to models, and the models give you feedback. Talk a little bit about how you got started with the folks at Lingerie Lowdown and some of the feedback you received from the presenters.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they kind of found one of our ambassadors who spoke about our product. So basically, like I mentioned earlier to you that we started in an ambassador program. Basically, it's just customers who share their stories with us. And I mean, I think so. Our mission is really just to empower people, make them feel confident regardless of their situation. And I think for us to spread that message, it's important for people, again, to embrace that individuality. And what better way to tell our stories than through the eyes of our supporters, our customers. And regardless of what their race, size, body type is, we just want their personalities to shine through. And we want to show true diversity in our advertising. We don't want photoshopped and airbrushed models that set unreal expectations. And that's why we started that program. That program was basically to celebrate all types of people. They end up becoming the representatives of our brands. So instead of hiring professional models, we just spotlight real people day to day, living their life, giving them a platform basically to bring awareness. And I think that's important for other people to see that. It makes them feel like, okay, like this company truly embraces individuality and embraces diversity and inclusiveness. And that's kind of how, they found one of our ambassadors and interviewed her, and she spoke about the product and her experience. She wasn't born with a disability. She had an injury in the line of duty. She was a police officer that left her with a spinal cord injury. So, her experience was, later in life, she had to learn how to adapt. And I want to say that we ended up finding each other somehow on social media, and we just sent her a bunch of product, and she sent us back pictures that were incredible. She looked gorgeous. She was wearing the underwear. She, was sitting next to her wheelchair, or she might have been in her wheelchair. It didn't matter. Like, she just felt confident enough to share those pictures with us, and we asked if we could repost them, and we did. And, it kind of like, it started something. And not saying we're the first company to do that, but it just showed like, hey, this is beauty. We're all beautiful. And ever since then, we've just said, screw it. We're not using models. We're using actual, like, our people, the people that buy our products, the people that support us and have these impactful stories. And we're not just saying, oh, they're inspiring, but they're people that have overcome huge obstacles and challenges in their lives, and they've come out of it stronger. And that's what our brand and our mission is. And we completely live by that. And it's really just us giving a platform to people who have a voice and need to share it. And we kind of took a step back, and it's grown and it's flourished, and it's incredible to see that within our brand that there has been such a strong community built, and not just a disability community. It's just a community of people who all share, common fears and goals and challenges and whatnot.
Back to your point, let's talk a little bit about how we can find you. Talk about the website, talk about your Instagram or any other social media you have where we can find you.
Sure. So you can find us online at slickchicksonline.com. We have a IG account that's also at Slick Chicks Online, and also Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube. Just Google Slick Chicks underwear, and I think we should be the only one out there. But yeah, you can find us online at slickchicksonline.com. If anyone wants to inquire about, the products, sizing, what we do, how it works, anything, they can reach out to us at support@slickchicksonline.com. We try to answer all of our emails in a timely fashion. It's a very small team of people, but a very passionate team of people. And yeah, we're always accessible, and we just want to see other brands follow suit and realize that it's not unattainable or significantly costly to make fashionable clothing or accessories for people that aren't able-bodied.
And I will say this: if you're out there and you need to invest in a company and you want to invest in a company, go here and spend the time. All right. Give this woman money because she's got a good idea. All right.
Thanks.
So, let's shake the trees and see what we can find here.
Oh, yeah.
Helya,
we're only scratching the surface.
That's right. Helya, so what's next, Helya? You've started this situation. Everything's going well with Slick Chicks.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of years' time, what do you want to see happen?
So right now we're really focusing on how to make more adaptive products, unisex products, products for men, because we get a lot of emails from, men saying, are you going to do this, another line for just men? So I think it's really just to expand our products, include different categories, and really become the go-to for adaptive undergarments. And, there's a lot of exciting partnerships in the works. We'll be announcing a huge partnership this summer. So definitely, sign up for our newsletter so you hear about those announcements. But, I think for us right now is just to really tap into this market the way that no one else has really done. And I think we just really want to embrace it and make it more mainstream, because it needs to be, and that's kind of like where we see ourselves going, making sure we can actually get our names out there. I have another sister line that we're developing more products. We're actually working with our manufacturer to do something that's going to help, millions of people in the U.S. that have dexterity issues that can't function our fasteners. Sort of like a self-fastening fabric, but that's still in the works. So there's a lot happening, and we're really excited for the future.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Honestly, I'm so grateful to be here and be on your show.
Special thanks to our guest. And of course, that is Helya Mohammadian, the CEO and founder of Slick Chicks. All the information on Helya's company can be found in our show box below. We'll be back with more of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, after this from BMW, the ultimate electric driving machine. And of course, that's why we're talking about the i3.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW i, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. Now, if you're not one of the over 35,000 people who have taken the time to subscribe to Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we make it simple and it's free. You can find us in the iTunes store because we're part of the Apple Podcast family. Same thing goes for Google Play because we're part of the Google Podcast family. You can find us on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and, of course, YouTube, to name a few. Now, if for some reason you can't find us, pull out the old Google machine and type in Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, hit the favorite button and the subscribe button. And every 2 weeks, you get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone or to your tablet or to both. Okay, can't make it any simpler than that. If you have one of those great assistant devices like, say, Alexa or Google or any of the Apple products, which answer to the name Siri, you can say, Alexa, Siri, or Google, please play the latest edition of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, and they will do it for you, okay? So please go out there and subscribe today. Thanks very much. Now, speaking of thank you very much, we thank our special guest today, Helya Mohammadian. That's Helya Mohammadian, the CEO and founder of Slick Chicks. All the information on Helya's company is right there in the show box below. Please go out and check out Helya's great Slick Chick website, all kinds of cool stuff going on there. And you don't have to be someone with a disability to use their website and to have fun with their really cool clothing. So by all means, check it out. So thank you all for listening to this edition of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. But before we go, I have a deal for you. It is an offer because you are a listener. You get 10% off a 6 or 12-month membership plan to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. And all that information is going to be in the show box below. We recommend you go out to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. It is an outstanding place. You're going to meet presenters from all over the world. You're going to see them try on and review some of the absolutely coolest fashions on the planet. And it's all right there on Lingerie Lowdown, the website. We want you to be part of our family. We're giving you a 10% discount if you sign up for a 6 or 12-month membership plan. All you have to do is enter the coupon code SLICKPOD. That's SLICKPOD. One word, SLICKPOD, when prompted, and you're going to get 10% off the price of joining for 6 or 12 months. Folks, that is a deal. It's a great way to say, I care about you. Give it to your wife. Give it to your husband. Give it to your boyfriend or girlfriend, okay? Or give it to yourself. It is a great way to find out what is going on in some of the cutting-edge areas of fashion, and it's also a great way to get to know our presenters. They do a wonderful job, and it's just a lot of fun, okay? Tremendous fun. So, again, 10% off, a discount for any 6 or 12-month membership to Lingerie Lowdown, our website. All you have to do when you get to, you're prompted at the checkout. All you have to do is say SlickPod and put that code in, SlickPod, and you'll get that 10% off for joining our 6 or 12-month membership plan. Okay? Do that today. You'll be glad you did. All right, folks. That just about does it. I'd like to thank everybody at Lingerie Lowdown for their help on the podcast today. And we look forward to chatting with you again in 2 weeks' time. So until then, I'm Jim Williams for the team here at Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, saying, be safe, have a lot of fun, and we'll check with you again in a fortnight.
She likes fashion. She likes fashion. She likes
boys, parties, style, fame.